Okay, so today we're going to be talking about something that a lot of Project Zomboid fans keep asking. Everywhere you look, Reddit, Discord, even Steam, everyone is wondering the same thing. When is Build 42 multiplayer coming out? Now obviously none of us can see the future, and the devs don't like rushing anything. But what we can do is use what we already know, look at the game's past updates, and do some simple math to get a pretty good guesstimate on what we're looking at. Not a perfect answer, but a smarter one than just pulling something out of nowhere. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be breaking it down in a way that makes sense. No confusing words, no big brain stuff, just clear steps and easy math. So to start this off, we need to backtrack a tiny bit into the past. Build 42 had its unstable release on December 17th, 2024. This is important because unstable builds are basically test versions. They work, but they're messy. But clearly, when this released, something big was missing. Multiplayer hasn't been turned on yet. Now the devs said they want to make sure things like crafting, animals, and performance are all stable before they switch multiplayer on. Otherwise the game would be a laggy disaster. Now here comes the useful part. This isn't the first time Project Zomboid has done a massive update like this. They did something similar with Build 41, and Build 41 helps us make our prediction. So Build 41 was still one of the biggest updates the game has ever had. It added new animations, new combat, new sound, and basically rebuilt half the game. The important part is the timeline. From the unstable release of Build 41 to the stable release, it took 791 days. That's over 2 years. Now, don't freak out. We're not saying Build 42 is going to take 2 years. Build 41 was a huge rewrite of the entire game's animation system. Build 42 is big, but it's not that big. But the 791 days gives us a reference point, something to compare against. Now, it would have been a lot more helpful if Build 40 was this big, or Build 39, 38, 37, so on and so on. But sadly, I'm only going to be using Build 41 for this reference because of how large it actually was. It makes the closest comparison to what Build 42 has to offer for us, and therefore it just makes the most sense. So as accurate as I'm going to try and get with this math, it is not going to be perfect. Anyways, here's the idea. If Build 41 took 791 days to go from unstable to fully stable, we can compare Build 42 to that timeline. But we're not predicting the full release of Build 42, we're only predicting when multiplayer gets added. Multiplayer usually comes before the final stable release, so we don't need the full timeline, just a portion before multiplayer is ready. We're going to make 3 possible scenarios, okay? Optimistic, realistic, and pessimistic. This here is the optimistic scenario, alright? It means, what if Build 42 is much faster than Build 41, like only a quarter of the time Build 41 took? We'll use only 25% as the best case guess. It's not super realistic, but it gives us a lower limit. If Build 41 only took 791 days to make, and Build 42 only took 25% of that, then multiplayer would have dropped early. And I'm talking early as in June of 2025. That's already passed. So we can just throw this scenario straight out the window. Okay, moving on with a more realistic scenario, we're gonna go with 50 to 60% of what Build 41 had. Now, I know some of you are probably confused, thinking like, Build 42 was massive. What do you mean 50 to 60%? And yes, Build 42 is large, but it's not that large. My other veteran players can stand with me here. Build 41 was a massive rework. Anyways, about 50% of 791 comes to pretty much, I think it's 396, pretty much, we'll call it 400, all right? Add 400 days onto December 17th, and you get somewhere between March and April of 2026, which when you look at Steam's page, seeing how the updates are slowly slowing down with Project Zomboid's build, it is actually looking very likely that that is going to be the time that we finally see Build 42 multiplayer. And then finally, we have the third scenario, the slowest likely scenario. I'm going to put this at 75% of time. It means, what if Build 42 is complicated enough that it takes almost as long as Build 41, but not fully? I'm using 75% because it allows for delays, it covers unexpected issues, it matches the Indie Stone's like slow and careful style, but it also doesn't assume a full 791 day timeline like 41 had. 75% gives us a worst case, but still realistic prediction. And that puts us into probably late 2026, around October. Also, you may or may not know that the Indie Stone is known for taking their time. They don't rush releases. They don't drop updates early just because the community wants them. They care way more about stability than speed. So mixing this all together, the math is basically telling us early to mid 2026 is the most realistic window for Build 42, but it could extend as far as late 2026, maybe even early 2027. So yeah, the truth is we're all waiting for Build 42 multiplayer, and it sucks not knowing the exact date. But at least now we have a smart, simple prediction based on real information, not just random guessing. If the devs surprise us and release it earlier, awesome. If it takes a bit longer, honestly, it's not going to be shocking. But Project Zomboid always releases things when they're ready, not before. That's pretty much all I've got for this prediction. Hopefully this made the whole Build 42 thing a little less confusing and a little less anxiety bringing. If you enjoyed the breakdown, throw a like my way, it really helps me. And if you guys have got any questions, make sure you just drop them in the comments. I would be happy to answer them. But otherwise, thanks for hanging out, be safe in Knox County, and I will see you guys later.